Welcome back to Irreverent Shaman. I am your Irreverent Shaman. That's right. I don't look like a hippie, well, maybe a little bit. I don't look like somebody who lives out in the middle of nowhere. I look like a regular person. How strange. And yet, am I really that regular? I don't know. Keep watching and we'll find out. Today we are going to talk about relationships. That is a very exciting topic, especially considering we are in Valentine's season, and whether you are watching this on Valentine's Day or after Valentine's Day, it doesn't matter. It's all about relationships. So we're going to talk about what kinds of relationships are there, and how do you categorize your relationships so you are feeling safe in your relationships. Let's get started with some teeny tiny mirrors. You see these? This is an interesting deck because it has the reading on both the front and the back. These are called Getting Into the Vortex by Esther and Jerry Hicks. And this one specifically is about relationships. How appropriate. Oh my goodness. The Law of Attraction just brought me those cards. I planned that, okay? Yeah, there's planning involved in the Law of Attraction. Yellow. Alright, let's see what your mirrors are saying today. Now, if you've never seen me pull cards, again, I don't do what your typical YouTube tarot card reader does. Oh, this is what this means. There must be this. There must be this. Let's do a spread. Let me get another stack of cards. I'm going to put 47,000 cards on the table because you need all of them. No. You only need one. Because the only thing that matters is the present. And when you pull one card, it is a mirror for what you're dealing with right now. And then at a later moment, when you have completed with the moment of whatever that card means, you move on to the next moment and the next card. Now, it sometimes helps. I'll do a 3-card spread at times, and it gives a good context of the background, where you are, and then kind of like a hint to where you're headed. But when we talk about future reading with cards, it has very little to do with your actual events of your future, and more like what energies you're dealing with once you're finished with this particular moment, however long that moment may be. So that's my long and drawn out way of saying we're going to pull some cards. Here we go. And the way that I do it is I wait for one to just kind of throw itself on the floor. Look at that. Okay, actually you got 3 of them. So I told you I was going to pull 1 card, but 3 threw themselves out, and we're going to actually pull 3. So this will be the first one, the past or the context, and it says, the Law of Attraction assembles happy relationships. That is the root of what we're working with today. Oh my goodness, who agrees with that? Yeah? No, you don't think so? Think about that. The Law of Attraction assembles happy relationships. The Law of Attraction cannot bring you a well-balanced, happy person if you yourself are not already that. The Law of Attraction, no matter what you do or say, will bring to you those who predominantly match the person you predominantly are. If you are not happy with yourself or with your life, the attraction of a partner will only exaggerate the discord, because any action taken from a place of lack is always counterproductive. So, if you're not attracting happy relationships, are you happy? All right, so that's our context. Now let's look at the present. Right here. So the question really becomes, how do we be happy and attract happy relationships? And here we go. With this one, I can praise abundance wherever I see it. I can praise abundance wherever I see it. Look at this. Like, adjusting his eyeball glasses. Look at that. Yeah, eyeball glasses. Yeah. Nice, really is. But look. He's got a plant growing out of his head. That's abundance. Oof. If you seek financial well-being for yourself, you must praise it wherever you see it. If you would like more abundance for yourself personally, or for others you care about, you must not criticize those who are experiencing abundance. When you criticize or condemn or push against anything, you activate an opposing vibration to what you seek every time. No exceptions. So the answer to being happy in your relationships is to be happy for those who you love and those who annoy you, and especially focusing in on whether you're criticizing them for their financial abundance. Or it could be relationship abundance. If you're specifically criticizing somebody because they have a happy relationship and you're like, I can't get a dude, I can't get a woman, something. What's the deal? Alright, now let's see potential future, the energy of what we are working with for the future. Everything is always working out for me. Everything is always working out for me. Nothing ever goes wrong, because every piece of contrast, no matter how wrong it seems, is always helping you to clarify what it is you do want. And that is the thing we want you to remember most of all. The contrast, no matter how it looks at any moment, is contributing mightily to your expansion. The things that you call things going wrong in your life experience are actually only the distance between the things that are so right and your current perspective about them. Everything is always working out for me. Now with that card, I'm sure I get a lot of people who think, well, I got this going on, I got this going on, I got this going on, I got this going on. My truck broke down, my dog died, my wife left me, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's a country song now. How can I possibly change that into a different light? And that is your practice. That is the tricky part of the whole of life, is kind of not finding the silver lining, because I can't stand even the hint of that phrasing. So when people are like, oh, like, find the positive, it's not about find the positive. It's, what is this trying to teach me? What don't I like about this? What didn't I like about this? And what do I want? And how do I get to that? It's okay to be in a space of grieving and upsetness and frustration. It's also important to shift that to learning what you liked about that experience, what you didn't like about that experience, and what you would rather have instead of the part you didn't like. Like if I go look in the mirror, right? And this is what I did many years ago, because I went through a process where I lost 35 pounds. And I wasn't necessarily counting calories, I couldn't exercise, I was literally sitting on the couch. But because I changed my food drastically for very specific parts of my food, and making sure that I was getting as close to the earth as possible. I found some food allergies. I sorted out my hormones. It was a lot of input based change because that's what I could handle at the time. But during that time, if I look in the mirror and I say, ugh, just ugh, that is not going to help me decide what I do want. It doesn't even tell me what I don't want. What it tells me is just, I don't like this. I don't like any of this. It's terrible and it just needs to change, and I need to go to the gym 100 times a week, and I just mental spiral. It just gets worse. So what we can do when we look in the mirror and go, ugh, what we can do is look at, okay, what is it that I don't like? My thighs are too fat. Okay? What would you like your thighs to actually look like? And why? And can you be okay with how they are right now? No, I can't be okay with it because I have to whip myself into shape. Okay, that doesn't sound very kind to yourself. If you're unkind to yourself, your body's not going to want to do it because everybody's got to get on board. All the crazy personalities, all the cells. Your body did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong to get to that part of you that you don't like. You just don't know what you do want. And when you look at what you don't want in very specific detail without judging yourself, then you get to what you do want because you become clearer about what you do want. That was a whole diatribe that I didn't plan on getting into. So much for planning, right? And we got the first one, we got the second one, and we got the third one. Watch it again if you need to. So let's talk about relationships. Because I'm an expert in relationshipism. No, I'm not. I'm an expert in myself. And that's all I can be an expert in. But because I learned about myself, I understand my relationship to another human, what types of relationship I need, and what I have to give to others. So that's all the parts of a relationship. So I'm not an expert in your relationships or your needs or what you have to offer, but you can learn what those are. Yeah, it's that simple. There's input and there's output. What do you get from your relationships? What do you need from your relationships? What do you have to offer? What are you good at in relationships? I'm going to play with my hair a lot because I'm wearing pigtails today. It's fun. So it also goes back to that last card of what don't you like about a relationship in particular? What are you afraid of in a relationship? How have you been hurt in the past? Because if we're focusing in on how much something hurt us in the past, we're not going to be able to see what's in front of us that may be exactly what we want. Now again, I'm not shaming anybody for having thoughts, feelings, and emotions about the past. That is part of our practice. That is part of our process as humans. It's exhausting, it's necessary, and we don't get to avoid it, because if you try to avoid it, they just get crankier. They just sit there and they fester and they just get really, really inflamed. No. We do need to process it, but it needs to feel like a process. Like, oh, I didn't realize this. Or, oh, this other thing showed up in the context of what you're dealing with, but oh, this other emotion about this. And now I have another one. Oh, and there's a deeper feeling of this piece over here. And then once you have completed that process, that pain goes away and it no longer hurts. But it's just a little bit at a time. And stuffing it does not work, because you can't just kind of... Emotions are energy in motion. They don't go away if you ignore them. You can't pretend like Wi-Fi doesn't exist. You can't pretend like the internet doesn't exist. You can't just pretend like, if you have leaky pipes, you can't just ignore the fact that you have leaky pipes and hope it goes away. Emotions are like that. And if you're constantly frustrated with the past, then the present is going to be hell. So allow yourself to try to understand what you went through, how you contributed to that, and how the other person contributed to that. Then you go back and go, okay, who am I? What do I want to do differently? And what do I want to see differently in response? That's part of crazy girl brain. That happens a lot. You gotta watch that other video I got about crazy girl brain. She's a hoot. And scary. So, let's move on to the types of relationships there are. The first one is family. Parents. Whatever that means to you. Mother means the one who you come from, maybe physically or emotionally or spiritually. And it's the one that you return to. You go out into the world, you come back. You go out into the world, you come back. You get inspired, you ground. You get inspired, you ground. You get inspired, you ground. This is a process that every child goes through, and we continue to go through it as adults. It's easy. You go, you come back. You go, you come back. Our basic concept of mother becomes our concept of home. So if you feel like you're not able to get through that clutter bug, if you just keep on going, oh my gosh, I have so much clutter, I'm just like my mom. Well, there's some truth to that. It's not just some program. There's a safety feeling that you have with the clutter because you associate it with your mom, because your home becomes your mom. It's kind of weird, in a sense. And then during the day, we leave the home, go to work, run errands, what have you, and then we come back. We leave, and we come back. That is what mom is for. Now, dad is about that leaving part. So you go, you get inspired, you go on an adventure. Yes, even to work or the grocery store, you're inspired. That's the masculine, that's the father energy. And male or female, it's not the point. This isn't about your mom, your dad. Hey, I don't have a dad because I have two moms, whatever. No. But that feeling, that relationship is, you get inspired. You learn things, you do things, you create things, then you come back, you regroup, you integrate. This is why we have the seasons. This is why we have day and night. This is the whole process that we live in. Your first relationship is with home and go, and home and go, and home and go. summer, winter, day, night, father, mother. That is the basis of our relationships. So if you think about black and white being opposites, it's, dark and light. You take a white light and put it through a prism, you get all of the colors. So our original relationships are light and absence of light. And the other relationships are a mixture in between. They're shades of gray, they're shades of colors. What's important for you is to understand what kinds of relationships you need. You may need missing a friendship. You may be missing family. You feel like you need to replace that. That is not a weakness. That is just obtaining resources. Relationships are emotional resources for us because we cannot be unconnected. That is impossible, and we will not be able to function properly as healthy, whole, complete humans. And then there will always feel like there's something missing. But just like with any addiction, you've got to know what's missing and what is not missing that you are thinking is missing. So, family. Then you have siblings who are your peers but are also annoying and you didn't choose them. You have friends who you did choose but can also be annoying, and you can't choose everything about them. So with friends, you need to know, what kind of friendship do I need? Do I need someone who's going to tell me how it is all the time? Do I need someone who is going to show up for me no matter what? Do I need someone who knows things about fixing cars, fixing houses? Do I need someone, and that's not using people, it's creating a genuine relationship with someone who has a skill. And that's something that you can connect on. Hey, show me this. But then on the other side, there's a value you bring to that person. And then that's where the best connection happens, is when it feels right, fair, equal, for one to have something that the other does not, and this one to have something that this one does not. If they are too far apart, they may not understand each other unless they're willing to learn and grow and are proactively growing. That is a very different conversation. But then in general, that's how relationships work. I have something, you have something. Let's share. Let's share experiences. Let's share ideas. But the reason that you even come together in the first place is because you have something in common. So you are able to connect in some way that is not the way that relationship gives and takes. So you have that foundation of, we trust each other because we have things in common. And then you have these differences, and that's the exchange. That's the back and forth. Now, you also have work relationships. Work relationships are very different than personal relationships. Work relationships are very much about the give and the take, and the give and the take, and give and the take, and you do this and I'll do that. Now, some people can be very fine with having friends who are also they're working with. Some people are very good at working with people who are already friends. That's a little trickier. It's easier to go work to friends and not really much farther, but it's really hard to go from friends to work and have that not explode. That has to have clear boundaries, clear rules, and a lot of communication. Ooh, let's have some kombucha. Okay. Next one is lovers. Romantic relationships are very different than friendships. How often have you thought to yourself, well, we really want to, we're thinking about dating, but we don't want to ruin our friendship. If you can pull that off, that's a beautiful relationship. But again, clear rules, clear boundaries. This is the time that we do this. This is the time that we do this. And if somebody says, no, I don't want to do that right now, or I can't help you with that, you don't get offended. You ask someone else, unless no one else can do it. Then you find a time where it works for both of you, or you have a conversation why they don't want to help you with that. But if you just go and get all upset because you asked for something and they said no, well, you got another thing coming. People are going to not be able to do things. It's not a rejection of you, that's a rejection to the situation. Or they might even have like a personal trigger with that where they don't do that for other people. It's not like they hate you because they said, no, I can't help you with that. Lovers are tricky because the more connections you have, the more things can start to get confused. Work relationships work really well because there's clear rules and you have a lot of space. And you do your job and they do theirs. And yes, there can be disagreements and frustrations and things can get very heated. But it's not as completely detrimental as it is when you're feeling destroyed from the most trusting personal relationships like family and lovers. So, question for you. Whenever you are feeling really frustrated with a relationship or a lack of relationship, ask yourself, what is it that you're missing in this lack of relationship? And find out, just do a little digging. What is it you get out of this relationship? Because if you're not getting anything, you are wasting your time. You can only give and give and give so much. If you're not getting anything, if you're doing all the listening and the other person's doing all the talking, if you're doing all the work, if you're showing up all the time and they're flaky, what is it that you're receiving from this relationship? Because you are worthy of having both give and receive. It's wonderful to be received. It's wonderful to receive. And where the codependents get stuck is they think that giving is their receiving. That being received means they are receiving. That's that need to be needed. It's that desire to be wanted. Everybody deserves to be wanted. But if that's the only thing that you want in a relationship is to give all the time, you are not going to be happy. You're going to be very, very unhappy and you will just hide it from yourself. So think of the different types of relationships. You can go into many, many, many flavors of all this. There's a whole color wheel of relationships. Don't let me rain on your parade and tell you there's only, 5 kinds. These are the basic 5. And if something's working for you, find out what it is. Ask yourself, what is it about this relationship that I like? Not necessarily about the person, because that's different. There's a reason that you connect with that person. But what about the relationship? What is the give and take? Give and receive. What are you receiving from this relationship? And what are you giving that you didn't realize that you knew how to give? Or that was valuable to others? That's important too. You're like this right here. I have a relationship with you. I didn't know you even cared about what's going on in my crazy head, and apparently people do. Maybe not that many people, but even if I help one person with this weird shit, that feels pretty good. That feels real good. And what am I getting? I get to talk at a camera. And sometimes people like it. It's great. That's the great thing. So I was thinking we could do some story time, but we are well into the 30-minute mark. Maybe we'll save story time for later. I got real into that card reading, and then, the whole conversation we were having where I was talking and you were listening. That should change. Why don't you comment so you talk and I'll listen? And if you have anything that you want to say about relationships that you don't understand, or why people react the way they do, just put it in the comments. This is fun for me. Put it in the comments. I want to hear it. And if you know somebody who would be like, is she crazy? Show them this video and show them how crazy I am. It's great. Alright, well, I am going to sign off with a sip of my kombucha from my fancy, fancy cup. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much.